A lot of you guys asked me how I keep track of all of my dolls' names. There are a couple different things that I actually do, but I've had to switch up how I do things because my quantity of dolls have expanded since I first started tracking them. What I initially used to do was I would take pictures of my dolls, just their heads, and I would use my photo editing app in my phone to add the names of the dolls to the headshots. Then I would go and print them at Walmart into actual pictures, right? I would put as many pictures of the head sculpts that I could onto one shot, like one 5x7. And then I would print all these pictures. Then I would cut them, cut all the squares out. And then I would basically like tape or glue them into a notebook so that I could just look through the pages to find the dolls whose names I would need for whatever I need them for. That became kind of overwhelming after a while because I had gotten so many dolls that I couldn't keep track of them all in that manner. So I'm using this label maker. The brand is Brother, and I actually found this one at Walmart some time ago, and it has like a cartridge that you insert in the back so that the tape will come out. This is the back part of the tape, and you'll see here there's a line in the middle. You can actually separate the tape easier because of the line. Then on the other side is where I actually printed the names. So what I was doing was I would take two lines. So on my device, this tells me how much space my line is taking up. I have a bunch of names before this one too, so I have 2.8 inches being taken up. And then what I would do is I would just type the names on here. So let's say I'm gonna say body donor, BD for body donor, and then I'm gonna put what body it is, Captain Kirk. And then when I had filled up my space, I would jump down. I would press enter to jump down, and then go to the next line so I can get 2 lines of writing. And then when it's filled up, the machine will tell you can't put any more text on it. So I did that in groups, and then I just kept printing group after group until I had a whole bunch of them. And of course, because I have over 100 dolls, it's gonna take me a while to get through all of them. Then after I print them out, I'm basically going to cut each name where it's supposed to stop, okay? And then peel off the backing on my dolls. I'm basically just taking the sticker and then putting it onto the backs of the dolls on a spot where I don't think it's going to rub up against clothing too much as I'm redressing them. So in her case, I put it right here on her back, Serafina. And then for some of them, I'm putting them here on the back on the rump so that it doesn't rub up against the clothes too much. This is a very thin, flat tape that I'm using, and the adhesive is sticky enough that it will stay put, but it's also not so sticky that it will leave a residue when I peel it off, so I can move it from body to body as needed if I have to do head swaps later on. Writing it by hand, you could do it that way, but the only problem with that is that the writing is not going to be universal. Everything you write is going to be like slightly a different size, slightly a different font. You know, it's not going to be as precise. If you do it by hand and use like just regular tape, it's a very temporary way to do this, but it will take up a lot more space on the doll. These labels, you can change the setting to make your font different sizes. You know, you can go to the font style. You can change the type of font. You can change the size of the font, the width of the font. You can do a lot of customizing to make them as small and precise as you want it to be. So for instance, when I did it with just 1 row, this is how big the names came out. Then when I did it with 2 rows, this is how big the names came out, even though they were set to the same small text font. So the machine will just make room by creating a smaller font when you do it on 2 rows. And that's what I ended up having to do. This is just a tip for those of you who want to be more organized with your collection. If you're moving things around, if you're moving homes, moving rooms, and you don't want to mix things up, or you have to pack your dolls away for a while before you bring them back out. Some of you have very dedicated photo stories and an animation series that you're producing, and you have fans and viewers who expect a certain level of continuity in your storylines. So if your characters' names keep changing, or you're misspelling them, or you're changing the names altogether, or like using a completely different doll, it can get kind of confusing for your followers to understand what's happening in your stories. So I understand the need to have to keep them straight. Not to mention, some of you are just nerdy like me and you like categorizing and organizing this stuff just for your own record so you can keep track of them in your own mind. So that's what I thought this would be a good tip for those of you who want to organize. And also for new doll collectors, while your collection is still kind of small, this is the best time to start the organizing process, because you're going to amass so many dolls at some point in the future that you're gonna wish you had already started doing this when you only had a few dolls to start with. So it's a good way for you guys to organize your dolls. I just wanted to share my method with y'all so that you would have some idea of something you could do too if you haven't figured this out on your own yet. Just a quick little tip, and I'll be doing more tips and tricks and hacks for new beginner doll collectors and those who are thinking about becoming doll collectors that are just kind of lurking on channels like this to try to figure it out. Like, do I even want to get into this? Am I going down a never-ending rabbit hole? Well, I have some videos coming to address some of these issues for you guys that I know I definitely was dealing with when I first started collecting seriously, but also now as I'm continuing with my collection, I keep running into certain problems that I'm sure are very common problems that all of us deal with, but we don't necessarily know the way to fix the problem, I guess. The next project I'm working on is creating a viable doll stand with very minimal supplies, very easy. You shouldn't need more than a glue gun and a couple of pliers maybe to get this done, but I'm still working on my prototype. So when I'm done with that, I will share that method with you guys. I'm so excited for it. And I also have a way to fix the knob inside of the doll's neck when that breaks. Sometimes when we rebody the dolls, it can pop. Sometimes if you do everything right, it could still pop, just depending on how difficult it is to get that particular doll's head off the body. That was something that I was running into a lot, and I had just been throwing away the bodies when I would mess it up. I figured out a way to completely fix it using just very simple things you already probably have on hand. So you guys know how I am. I'm so lazy when it comes to like customizing, crafting, hacking. I don't got time to be doing all of this intricate stuff. I just want to get it done and move on, right? Without having to drill holes and pull out all types of tools. Like, who got time for this? There's no clay, there's no epoxy, there's none of that stuff. You're gonna think it's insane. Like, why didn't I think of this sooner? I'll be doing that with you guys. So excited to show you guys that. All the stuff is coming soon to the channel, and I'm like literally working on it right now. Like, as we speak, every day, little by little, I'm piecing these things together so that it can be film ready, okay? Because it's one thing when you do stuff off camera, and a whole nother situation when you're trying to do it on camera and go through the steps so that other people can see what you're doing and copy it. So just be patient with me. This is also something I'm planning to do with my donor bodies, like the one I just showed you guys that I was printing that it said, you know, BD Captain Kirk. So I'm gonna put that onto the body, because sometimes what I'll do is I'll behead them, and then for whatever reason, I'll just have a donor body laying around that I don't have a head for. But then later, when I find a head to put onto the bodies, I'll get confused because I'll be trying to do like an inventory of which dolls I have, and I'll be like, what doll was this? Before I took the head off and took all the clothes off, I can't remember which doll it was, what skin tone it was supposed to be. Like, I can't remember. So especially with Made to Move dolls, being able to put a label on the body, orange top, blue top, yellow top, that will make it so much easier for you guys to categorize your donor bodies that you've pre-prepped. If they're already in the boxes, of course it doesn't matter. But if you take the dolls out and you're like rebodying, like sometimes I find that, like for her, for example, so Wailani is originally a Poppy Parker doll, and she came on her articulated body, of course, by Integrity Toys. But I didn't like her body when I got her, so I switched her out of that body and gave her a Made to Move body. But then her actual body is just floating around with no head, right? So in that instance, I would have labeled that body so I could keep track of which body it was. So the next time I have a doll that I want to rebody, I'll already know as I'm looking through my stash, like, oh, this is the body I'm looking for. Yes, you can do that from memory, but again, if your stash is becoming quite large in quantity, you can't really remember all that stuff all the time unless you're just constantly like looking at that stuff, you know? I hope this helps somebody. If it did, then go ahead and drop me a line in the comments and like this video so I'll know to make more videos like this for you guys. And if you want to see how I got this Poppy doll's hair like this, very long and defined waves and curls that can actually be styled, then go ahead and check out my tutorial that I showed you guys how to do this with. and try it out on your own dolls with curly hair. You don't want to make the hair straight. You just want to make it a little less curly, a little less full, and a little longer. And if you're feeling Poppy's jackets, go ahead and check out our merch shop for the same graphic that is available on shirts and other products that you guys can wear. And this is an original design that my son did based on our traditional Korean clothing that South Koreans wear. He was really inspired by it and he decided to make some graphics to represent that and mesh it with the hip-hop culture, and that's what we did. On her arm it says 자신을믿어, which means believe in yourself. He's got little cool messages like that he put in Korean for you guys. The translations are up there on the merch shop. Go ahead and check it out, and I'll see you guys next time right here on Broken Dolly TV. Have a dolly day! Okay, so I'm looking at this box that was given to us. It's a Barbie doll that was given to us by my daughter's school. Her teacher bought her a whole bunch of gifts for her and her brother, and that was so sweet of them. And I have no idea how she knew that my son does art, because all the stuff they got for him is art related. I don't know, but that's really amazing. And anyway, so this happened to be in there, totally unexpected. We're gonna open this up and see what doll it is. Wow.
It's taller than all your other dolls.
Look at her. Oh, she's cute. What is this? I don't remember this doll. Wow. There are little feet. Oh, they're rubbery. Is this like a vintage doll? What is this? Serenade in satin? I'll have to look her up. 1996. Really? Wait, I was just doing a video about my old collection of dolls from the 90s. And it says here 1996. I can't get it to focus that good. But that's very interesting. What a coincidence. Interesting. I think her stand is in the box too. What's in here? Oh, that's a big coat she's got on. Wow, that's pretty. I like that. Ooh, I wonder if I can make her brand new and put her on a Made to Move body. That's so weird, because I was just thinking last night, like, maybe I should try to get one of the 1990s Barbies that I remember from my childhood, just for nostalgia's sake, just to have it. And then when I was looking on eBay at the dolls that I remember having, they just didn't appeal to me anymore. I was like, ew, I like this doll. Their faces look so weird. I wasn't into it, but this is very fancy. I'm so blown away right now at how much of a coinky-dink this all is looking like it is, but I know it's not. I know it's not a coincidence. This is a law of attraction right here. It works. Whether you want it to or you don't want it to, it still works.
Treasure of pure untainted pleasure. It's okay, we don't know each other very well right now, but that's the reason why there's forever.
Yo, only if you knew how I bend chicks. What? Fly peanut buttery and South Q's where my mother be. They all in love with me, at least that's what they telling me. But they be selling dreams like every other woman obsessed with me.